Now at 6, U.S. and Cuban diplomats launch historic talks to shed their Cold War-era hostility. And tonight, both sides are describing the meeting as productive. The two sides are complimenting each other on the first day's progress, despite differences over migration policy. The meetings in Havana follow the historic decision by President Barack Obama and Cuban President Raul Castro to seek normal ties. The highest-ranking official U.S. delegation to visit Cuba in decades sat directly across a table from Cuba's delegation in Havana. One item on the agenda, the Cuban Adjustment Act, a U.S. law that allows the wet foot, dry foot policy. Cuba would like to see the law repealed.
The Cuban delegation has raised our concerns about the Cuban Adjustment Act and the dry foot, wet foot policy that it is applied for Cuban immigrants. That, in our conception, in our opinion, is the main stimulus for the illegal immigration.
The wet foot, dry foot policy may be on the table during the 2 days of talks, but ending the 5-decade-old economic embargo would have to be changed by Congress. President Obama called for that last night.
When what you're doing doesn't work for 50 years, it's time to try something new.
Carlos Rodriguez of the Cuba Study Group once supported the embargo, but believes it has outlived its purpose.
That the embargo was a policy that wanted Cuba to change. And instead of causing Cuba to change, it is a big obstacle in Cuba changing.
The Havana talks will not end the embargo, but are aimed at restoring diplomatic relations. Critics say it'll benefit the Cuban government, while others say negotiations will benefit both countries.
We are established diplomatic ties with a group that keeps silencing its opposition, and the president gave no hope to that opposition.
Now we have an opportunity that we haven't had in years to really air the differences and the issues we have with Cuba. This is what diplomacy is all about.